Question: what happened when over a weekend I published 3 videos in a row, all talking about religion? What happened to the subscribers? Because I see this on an app on my phone. I can see if I'm gaining or losing subscribers. You know what happened? Predict. Did I start losing a bunch of subscribers? No. It actually has a chart, and this is what happened. Over the weekend when I did 3 videos about religion, that's what it did. That's what my chart looks like right now. And what that tells me is, even if those videos make us feel uncomfortable, challenged, awkward, people are watching the videos and they're engaged in them. And I've even looked at the numbers. It's not even that they're getting more views than other videos, but people are leaving more comments. And I think in the way that I'm leading these discussions, it's that even though I typically have the view that most people disagree with, hopefully what you see is I respect everyone watching my channel. I'm not here to say, you're wrong and here's why. It's more of, I want to have a discussion about this, and no, I don't think you're an idiot for disagreeing with me. Even if you think I'm an idiot, I don't think you're an idiot. I respect the fact that you have a different view than I do, and let's face it, if you're me, you're used to most people not agreeing with your views. Just to put in perspective, even aside from religious views, I'm a vegan. I don't spank my kids. I'm a libertarian and I vote that way. I don't vote for Republican or Democrat presidential candidates. I vote for so those are just a few things, all right? So I'm used to people not agreeing with me, but I also, again, I think it would be moronic on my part to get upset with people for not believing like I do, okay? So with all that being said, I want to share this part of a comment from one of my subscribers that's been watching me for a while, and I really appreciate that. On the video I made called Sufficient Evidence for My Christian Beliefs, the fact that I'm not a good person. You know, for me personally, if I were not a Christian, I think the thing that would reel me in is acknowledging the fact that we're not good people, that we are always going to do the thing that's wrong. Not everything that's wrong, but certain people are gossips. And even though that's not a crime, it makes you not that great of a person if you're known for being the gossip. Okay? So for me, we're all sinners. And I can relate to that. That makes sense to me. Instead of going around believing, I'm a good person. I'm a good person. No, I'm not. I'm not. I struggle to be this good. Okay? For example, okay, let me back up a little bit. Okay? You know, okay, for 37, I may look pretty good, pretty in shape, right? But do you know what a struggle it is just to maintain this? It is a struggle just to maintain. How much exercise, and of course with my vegan diet being so strict. And that's how I feel as far as morality goes. Like, even though I'm family friendly daddy blog and I try to do, it's a struggle to even think in a way that's not selfish. That's the default. With all that being said, and this is all leading up to this comment, everything I'm saying so far. But I like this comment, and I'm going to read the very end of it. It says this: even if you are an agnostic or an atheist, to be a good person in society requires moral training of some kind. Though not religious, a need to apologize, forgive, and be forgiven among ourselves at the very least. End quote. I like that part of that because I was already thinking about this. I was thinking, okay, people are into these religious videos, these really religious debate / discussion videos in which I'm the odd man out. And I was thinking, what would be the next thing? Where do I want to carry this conversation next? And that was it. That was actually what I was planning to make the video. Then I see that comment comes in right before I shoot the video. What I think is interesting is whether you believe sin exists or not, whether you believe we were born with a sinful nature or not. What's interesting, even if I were an atheist or agnostic or of a different religion altogether, it's part of my identity to believe that you're better off forgiving people. Because something I see throughout life is I see so many bitter people. And when I see bitter people, and you can tell they just have their walls up. You can see that. And when you try to carry on a conversation with certain people, you can see that it somehow turns into an argument and them lashing out at you over maybe nothing at all that should be that way, but it becomes that way. Certain people carry a burden of bitterness with them throughout life. And we've all met these people. And I never want to be that person. I am a strong believer in forgiveness. So what I want to invite you to do for the remainder of this video, let's not talk about religion. Let's not talk about sin. 5.5 minutes in the video. Let's not talk about that anymore. Let's just like John Lennon said in the song imagine there is no religion. Imagine there is no heaven or hell. Okay? How do you feel about the need to forgive other people? And maybe even to be forgiven yourself. Of course, again, my own mindset is very reflective of what Metallica talks about in so many of their songs, like Sad But True, The Devil's Dance. So many of their songs talk about that, and Struggle Within is another song. The struggle within, that morally we want to be good people, but there's that whole other side of us inside that wants, that is the avatar of our fear and anxiety and aggression. So many of Metallica songs talk about that, and that's one of the reasons they're one of my favorite bands. Forget about religion. Forget about heaven, hell. Forget about sin. Just think about forgiveness right now. Okay? Aside from all those things that we're not going to talk about for the rest of this video, just forgiveness. How do you feel about it? Do you believe that even if other people don't deserve it, that you should still forgive them? Because something I'm aware of, in the history of the world, people have done horrible things to each other. And it's understandable for a person to say, I can never forgive them for what they did. I can understand that. I can definitely understand that from a natural human state of mind. That there are certain things that, in theory, you should not forgive people for. They're too heinous of a crime. However, those same things that people can't forgive other people for, there's other people who have had those things done to them, and they were able to forgive the person. And what I've seen is, when you look at the two people, the way they live their lives, the person who was able to forgive the person for the awful thing is at peace. They're still affected by what happened, and maybe they always will psychologically. But that burden of bitterness is not part of their life. And it affects their life in a positive way compared to the person who says, understandably, I can't forgive that person for what they did. And they don't forgive the person, and they live a life of bitterness, maybe depression, maybe anxiety, maybe all these things. So I guess what I'm trying to ask you here is, can you at least agree with me that choosing to forgive a person, especially when they don't deserve it, is better for you, the individual, in the long run, for the rest of your life? Because I've heard it this way. So often, we are offended by someone or hurt by someone, and what bitterness is, what the act of choosing not to forgive a person is, it's like drinking poison and expecting the other person to get sick and die. It's that concept that we're giving emotional and psychological control to other people, even if they go on living the rest of their lives. They're not thinking about it. You are. You're the one that put yourself in your own version of hell as it consumes you, because you did not deserve to be treated that way, and they don't deserve to be forgiven in your mind, right? But other people were able to forgive. And it just makes sense in a very cut and dry way that it's better to forgive a person than to not forgive a person. Now granted, yes, laws exist too. And there are certain things people do that will cause them to end up in jail. That's not what I'm talking about. Because maybe you are so hurt by something that was never a crime. Maybe your father never told you that he loved you. And that ended up defining you for the worse for who you were the rest of your life. And you could never forgive him for never telling you that you had a sense of value growing up. And it's that cliche that, tell me about your relationship with your father. The reason that cliche exists is because it could be something like that. Another person could say, well, my dad never told me he loved me. But the way it affects people People are affected differently by different things. So, if we forget about religion, even though this is technically one of those videos about religion, let's forget about religion and let's forget about sin and let's just talk about forgiveness. Could you at least agree with me that it's better to forgive than not to forgive? It's better to forgive even when the other person doesn't deserve it. And I would even argue that most of the time, in theory, it's easy to believe that they don't deserve it. Your thoughts right here.